We live in a period when it's easy to be cynical about people who hold high office, whether those office holders are political, financial, or even ecclesiastical figures. They're frequently subject to scrutiny, criticism, and even ridicule. They're often thought to be unprincipled, unscrupulous, and deficient in all sorts of other unfavourable ways. This isn't to say all holders of high office are corrupt, nor is it to say all holders of high office are paragons of virtue, nor is it to say that there aren't reasons why people have become cynical about holders of high office. Rather, it's simply to recognise that by and large, society has become sceptical about those who hold high office, and that scepticism is pretty much endemic today. But how did this come about? I don't mean so much what the mechanics were of any given public scandal, but rather why people behaved the way they did in such cases. In one sense, the answer is very simple. They sinned. Not all the participants, of course, but enough of them to set a bad example, which subsequently was repeated by others. Sin, after all, is like that. It not only damages the perpetrator, but it also attracts other people, encouraging them to do the same and thus damaging them also. Indeed, one of the worst aspects of sin is its capacity to influence others. That being so, once enough people imitate a given type of bad behaviour, you have a scandal. And when that scandal pertains to holders of high office, then we acquire reasons to be sceptical about those who hold high office. Now, contrast this tale of woe with the lives of the two saints whose feast we celebrate today, John Fisher and Thomas More. These two men, one a bishop, the other a layman, were both extraordinarily prominent people, the kind of people we're quick to condemn today. Both these men were holders of high office. Both were clearly members of the establishment. Both were therefore prime candidates for the kind of scandal we've just outlined. Yet both men took a very different path, the path of virtue and grace. Take John Fisher. He was born in 1469 and studied at Cambridge. He became a fellow and later master of Michael House. He became confessor of Lady Margaret Beaufort, the mother of Henry VII, and he advised her as she founded St. John's and Christ's College. Subsequently, John Fisher became Vice-Chancellor and Chancellor of Cambridge, and later Bishop of Rochester. He was a high flyer, nearly at the peak of his career, we might say. Yet at that moment he refused to support Henry VIII's desire to divorce Catherine of Aragon, and he later criticised Henry in the House of Lords. 1535, he was made a cardinal by Pope Paul III. He continued to criticize Henry, and subsequently he was tried for treason on the grounds he denied the king was head of the church in this country. He was executed at Tower Hill and canonized in 1935. A similar account can be given of St. Thomas More. Born in London in 1477, he studied here in Oxford. He became a judge of great distinction, Speaker of the House of Commons, and then Lord Chancellor of England. Like Fisher, More was a man at the very heart of the establishment. Like Fisher, More was a man who declined to support Henry's wish to be divorced from his wife. Like Fisher, More declined to take an oath accepting Henry as head of the church in this country. And of course, like Fisher, More was executed for this. But what made these two act in this way? Why were they able to do the right thing? How did they remain steadfast in faith? Well, they were martyrs, so we can say they must have received the grace of martyrdom. And whilst that's certainly true, it's not the whole picture by any means. One doesn't just wake up one morning fully equipped and prepared for martyrdom. There's a whole life of grace and virtue prior to becoming a martyr that prepares the prospective martyr's life a direction of travel that's consistent, that prepares them for the grace of martyrdom. They habitually avail of the sacraments, they regularly receive grace. They always try to imitate Christ. It's that consistent practice culminating in the grace of martyrdom which prepared them for the challenges they faced. Crucially, though, such grace-filled and virtuous lives are attractive, not in the misguided way sin is, but in a deeper, more realistic way that truly complements and fulfills our desires. Saints John Fisher and Thomas More led precisely these sorts of lives. They were able to take the right path. They can act as good examples for us to imitate. So can any saint. So can our favourite saint, whoever that may be. And so also, most importantly of all, can our Lord Jesus Christ. We need, therefore, to pick good role models and imitate their examples. We don't have to be led astray by bad people. We can stick close to Christ and the saints, and if we do, then we'll be on the right path as well, just as John Fisher and Thomas More were.